Hi there, here's a quick demo of the Sinister background audio system. So as you can see, Sinister Soundscape comes in Unity as a folder here. So you can see Cyberleaf Sinister Soundscape. You have all the assets here, and so you have all the tracks like the ambience loops, the cues, and then you have a prefab, which is the Sinister Soundscape object here, which is basically a empty object with some scripts, and it's already here in my demo scene, Sinister Soundscape. So, and in my scene I have like a bunch of buttons I added and that will trigger like the different music cues or events. So on the right here you have all the parameters you can set for the Sinister Soundscape. So the Sinister Soundscape is composed by 4 different ambience layers: the basic, presences, noises and drama. And from here you can like set like the master volume of these ambiences and then the single individual volumes. Then you have like the music cues and then the event cues volumes. So what's the difference between the music cue and event cue? So a music cue is meant to play, so will be like something that will play when something happens in your scene, in your game, and it should be just one music at a time. So the system is already smart that will crossfade between one music and another. So if you start a music while another one is playing, the current music will fade out and the new one will fade in. While an event instead is something shorter, so similar like a sound effect, but it's something that multiple events can play at the same time. Continuing down here, so you can see you have like the music cues volume, the event cues volume, and then for the music cues there's also like this nice option to play music cues randomly, and you can enable these here and decide like the minimum or the maximum amount of seconds. So in this case a new music cue will play between 10 80 seconds. One new music cue will be picked up randomly and will play. And then after this, below you can see 3 arrays. Basically there's an array with ambiences, an array with music cues, and an array with event cues. And these, the music and the events are also like dynamic, so you can have as many as you want. That's nice because you can like expand these soundscape package with more. You can have anything you want here. And then the fade-in time in seconds is something you want to decide. I mean, when the scene starts, you can decide to have the ambiences start immediately or to have a fade-in for them. And as you can see already in the in the ambience loops here in the folder, there are even more than these 4, because, for example, the basic ambience comes in 2 different. There's a variation, so which is slightly different if in case you want for another scene to have something which is not exactly the same. While the first one is like quieter, with more kind of silences. Okay, and these also, all these ambiences are of course loops, while the cues and the events are not meant to be played in loop. And you can see that also in the file name there's a loop suffix at the end. So that's it. Let's have a go and see how it works. So as soon as I run this scene, you see these ambiences are fading in, and so I can like change even in real time. And you can do this here, of course, with my mouse, or you would be able to do this in your game code. So that's the master volume. Then you can change how these ambiences the volumes to create like a different atmosphere, a different soundscape, more like dramatic or with more background noises. In case of, I mean, depends on what happens in the game. Okay, and then so with these buttons I'm playing and triggering the music cues or the events. you see now, as soon as I click these, a random cue was started, so that's why that crossfade happened. It's a nice example. So even if you have like random music cues, you can still trigger music cues when something happens in the game. You know, you reach a certain area of your game, or something interesting happens. Even the volumes of the music and the events are, of course, you can change these at runtime. So there are a few piano passages, and then there's like the theme, the full theme, which is more orchestral and more dramatic. Events can play, of course, on top of the music. And I can also stop any current music with a nice fade out. There are more like percussions, oriented music cues. Like classic creepy bells and pianos. So one final thing is let's see how to trigger in the code. So if you have a look at the demo scene, you see the buttons here. The on-click event is the target is this Sinister Soundscape object I have in my scene here, and it's using the public play cue method that is basically playing a cue. Music and events are both cues because they're not loops, they're not background music, they're just music or kind of music or sound effects cues. So with play cue you can both start a music passage or an event. So if you look at an event button, you see it's called event and then the ID. So the parameter here for play cue is just one, and it's event or music, and then the ID of that event or music in the array. So you see I have, like in this case I'm using 13 music cues, so like these will be like music 3, like these will be event 4, and with this simple like rule you can start any of these cues, and that's it. I mean, there are other public properties. I mean, the code is in here, so you see it has just one script here, which is the Sinister Soundscape player, and which is using also like the ambient source class, and the demo script is just a short bit of code that will update these text area here with which current music is playing. So you have even that. I mean, you know what's going on with these public variables. Of course, you see these variables are in the panel here. So these are the public variables that are accessible in the Sinister Soundscape player class. So you can change the basic presences, noises, drama volumes, the music cue volumes, or I mean anything like that. So that's really easy to use. You can just, I mean, you can use it as it is. I mean, if you drag and drop these prefab in your scene, you can even like let the Soundscape player to run the music. Or I mean, I guess the best usage will be to run the music cues at certain specific times to create a more interesting effect. But then, I mean, even in this case, you can replace these cues or these ambiances for each scene. You can use, like as I said, you can use third parties tracks. You don't have to use you're not stuck with these Sinister Soundscape tracks. Or I mean, the other way around. You can even like just, if you're using like the Unity audio mixer, and or you are using another script of yours, I mean, you can just pick these ambiances, loops, these cues, and play them as you want. I mean, these Soundscape player is something extra that comes with the music. Tries to make these music tracks to work in a more procedural way, so more like with random events. Or I mean, you can even create easily a bunch of code that will move these, like the 4 layers of ambiances in real time, so to always have a changing ambience. That's it. I mean, hope this has been helpful to show you the functionalities of the Sinister Soundscape. Thank you for watching.